absentee board meeting, 5 p.m., April 23rd, 2024. As the Surrey County Board of Elections, we have a duty to avoid conflicts or appearances of conflicts of interest. Does any board member have any known conflict of interest or any appearance of a conflict with respect to any matters coming before our board today? If so, please identify the conflict or appearance of the conflict and refrain from any participation in the particular matter. Thank you. We have our minutes from our April 16th meeting for approval. Take time.
On the back sheet, Michelle, about halfway down, it says Clark Comer made a motion, then it says Clark Comer made a motion again.
Clark, I've given you extra credit. Thank you, Drew.
Look.
Clark Comer made a motion and he made a motion. I'm gonna strike. The second made a motion. Thanks, Drew.
Explain.
And Dwayne, I'll mark that one for signatures. Oh, sorry.
Make the motion to approve minutes.
Second. We have a motion and we have a second to approve minutes from our meeting April 16th. Any discussion? Other than the line out? No further discussion, no discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Members signing the minutes or coming around. Open the public forum portion of our meeting. Purpose of anyone wishing to address anything before the Board of Elections. Is there anyone that wishes to speak to the board, either present or online? If not, I will proceed to close public forum portion. Move into our absentee.
Okay, the statistics for today are, we have 110 ballots that have not been returned, 107 civilian, 2 military, and 1 overseas, for a total of 110. Ballots received not okay. It's still the one from last week, that was the pending cure. It is still outstanding. That has not been cured. And, ballots returned okay is 20. Military is 1, and that is the one we have today that's recommend approval. And the 20 includes 6 civilian for today. And then your first report you're gonna sign is gonna have the names of the ones you approved last week, along with the 5 that were the photo ID exception forms. So this first report is gonna reflect the 14, the full report for the 14 last week. So 14 plus 6 is 20, plus the 1 military is 21. For a grand total of 132. That report that Dwayne has will finalize from last week. And all of them today had photo IDs included, copies of, so no exception forms for the 1, 2, 6 today. Yeah, I guess we can start with you, Clark, while you're doing that. What's this like? Let me know that person.
Article 6,
Yes, sir.
we have 6.
Okay. And then I'll pass the one military around. It was, mailed in, so there shouldn't be a remark on it. It was an actual ballot. For the bipartisan team, like to go over and compare seals on the DS 200.
I'll relieve you this time.
Which matches our closing. Middle. I'll put those. Brandon, yeah. Yeah, I'll bring them.
We have one more we mailed out today, so the bulk is definitely went out. I don't believe there'll be much more, especially with early voting opening on Thursday. So, yeah, day after tomorrow. Did an interview this morning or at noon with WPAQ. They're nice enough to always have us live on there and to promote, the kickoff of early voting,
Good,
so.
good.
Yeah, BRAC is always real good to do that. Actually, I say that wrong. I was at WPAQ, but it was on WSYD.
Oh, okay.
He said that he'd be glad to do multiple of those for the general. So we're gonna need it for the general.
Yeah. It's great.
We'll also reach out to WIFM for the general as well for Elkton, especially with the site there. We did that in 2020, so I think
Okay.
it'd be good to do it then too. Sydney, what's your count? Okay.
And here's the report, and I circled right there in the public count, it's 14, which matched our closing date from last time.
Okay. Signature beside the public count, or
That's fine. Yep, that'll be just fine.
You can run, Alex.
Yeah. You want to go ahead and do these reports, Dwayne, while you all are, that's the one I've already mentioned, and then this is just today's report that reflects the ones for today, and there's 3 copies. Thank you.
Oh, no, we don't have any remarks.
That's all since the military was mailed.
Well, always standing here. After about 7 minutes.
this.
I know this.
Save some of this for this fall.
They enjoy it. Come October. Absentee by mail ballots go out September the 6th. In the general. Tiffany, do you and Drew mind,
No, not at all.
overseeing the closing of the machine?
Not at all.
Thank you.
And then I went ahead and pulled that still for the top, 289,851 for the top, and then 191,181. And something.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next week, there'll be no report. It'll, none were pending approval, so,
Roll call.
well, yeah, there'll be no additional extra report.
Still have one.
The pending, waiting on that signature for the photo ID exception.
Any communication yet?
Yeah, I talked to the individual and said that he would get that back to us hopefully by next week.
Hey,
And that's the only one that's pending.
right. Anything further with the absentee ballot for
Not-
today?
Not for me.
Signature. Y'all made the signature page as they went around.
Yes, sir.
And the ending count, Sydney, I'm sorry. Well, thank you.
I turned those crossways though.
Okay, thank you.
Moving further into other business.
Yes, you'll see what's some maps. Cindy and I did go to the Elkin Center, Surrey Community College, that is our election day site. And, the buffer zone that are currently marked, and your first map, I think, should look like this. That's existing. That's what you see now. If you went out there. When we measured, one line is actually 46 feet from the door, so it's actually less than 50. Not more than 50.
Less than 50.
And if you see, this is landscape islands that have shrubs, they're about waist high.
Yeah.
So clearly, those landscape islands are within the buffer zone. Clearly.
Yes.
They were, they are, and they will be.
Oh, yeah.
And, so if you look at the next page, this is what we're gonna do there. We're gonna make it look like Mount Airy. And if you read the last page is the existing for Mount Airy, and it's the box shape.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of a white line, we're gonna do a yellow line, because you see at Elkin, we will be going through a handicap parking spot, which is fine. We want to make that a different color than the white
Yeah.
handicap parking striping. So we will be making that yellow. And I think I spoke with Rick in maintenance this morning, and he's wanting to go ahead and do that next week. So it'll be finished for the second primary.
Where the door is that where the real red teardrop is?
Basically, Drew, it's a little bit on this map. It's a little below, but at Elkin, it's interesting. You have the doorway is both sides. That's why there were two lines there. You can enter here and you can enter there. It's like a little small lobby, sort of like ours, with windows, and then you go into one set of double doors that takes you in the building.
So it's just one door to go in.
Two doors to go in from outside, but once you're in that little lobby, it's one entrance. Mhm.
Could apply the 50 foot to both doors.
Absolutely, yeah. And you'll see too that it would sort of split the curbside cars. But that's fine, because that's at Mount Airy as well. You can't avoid that.
Do you find that the boxes work better? You're having conversation with a poster out there. The box works better than art.
It does. It works much better at Mount Airy with the box. This arch out here gets lost
Yes, I agree.
with the lines that's already out there, and there's so much activity here for regular business during elections, during early voting and election day. But we just haven't had really an issue here. It's always the busiest spot, it is Mount Airy. But to me, I think it's clearer at Mount Airy than here.
And proven by science, yellow is the most sensitive color to the human eye, so humans
Mhm.
pick it up quicker.
I think
than-
it's an alert color.
It is,
Yeah.
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 So,
Mhm. So yeah,
Is there anything in regulations as far as where it says marking off for the curbside for footage around it, or is that sort of lost in the?
there's no definite, but they
Nothing
do have a buffer zone. It's not 50 feet, but it's just almost a common sense. But it is noted that they have a buffer zone. Their car is their voting enclosure.
Mhm.
You
So
can't
theoretically,
approach.
we can't
No,
mark anything off for the curbside area.
no.
Okay, there's nothing on the books that would back that up. Okay,
But we've historically not had any problem encroaching into the curbside area when people pull up, have we?
No, well, I say that, we had in 2020, but it was quickly reported and we went to, that campaigner and they understood, yeah.
Okay.
And then we also had one instance, when Mount Airy Municipal was standalone, odd year, when it was held at Mount Airy Municipal Building, holding an umbrella, campaigners holding an umbrella, walking a voter to the door. Can't do that because you're going through the buffer zone.
Right. Good intentions.
Good
but yeah.
intention.
Okay,
I don't anticipate you'll have any problem with this. Only place I would anticipate you'd have any problem with this would be over there, just because of past history.
Yeah.
But do you think that there would be a question raised because of the corners rather than an arch? I just would envision someone perhaps saying, you've got to take a 50-foot arch. And if I go out into those corners, it's more than 50 feet from the door.
Possibly, yeah, I mean. Good,
I mean, it, well, obviously would be,
but
and
I think what the real issue was, signs were in
with
landscape islands.
understand.
okay.
And that was conversation, but now the arch was mentioned. Yes, that was mentioned.
I like this better. I would just be prepared
Mhm.
for that to come up.
you said for someone to test it.
Yes,
Yeah.
and if it were to come up. And 50 feet, if that's the number, and I think that is correct. Then those corners might be an
Yeah.
issue.
And that one's unique because it does have two entry doors to where all of our other sites only has the one entry door.
Right.
Extending it out a little, the squares seem to work better. And there's still islands that you could easily utilize. It's outside of the buffer zone and
Yeah.
this, which one can you see it best? Probably this one. See this shadows of trees along here and
Yeah.
Elkin?
Mhm.
That is now being cleared. Our maintenance staff cleared off that, so you almost have a clean bank there that now can be utilized for something that wasn't before. So that, I would do that because most people are gonna enter from down here.
Mhm.
Currently, there is a sign in, it's chopped off, but you can barely see the tip of it right there. There's a landscape island there. And there's a sign in it now for one of the candidates on the ballot for the second primary, so.
Okay.
They knew what was what. They smart,
Yeah.
very smart. They put it there, so.
Good deal.
And then on that note, Cindy and I, met with the two schools, Mountain Park and Westfield Elementary for the Bryan and South Westfield precinct, and we met with both those principals. They showed us, Westfield is cafeteria, is where voting's gonna be, with a whole different parking lot to utilize. It's gonna be real good, I think. That's the school who's gonna do lunches, bag lunches that day. And we also were able to talk to each principal about where they wanted to utilize the officers best. They're the ones who knows where the.
Yeah, they know the school better
Yeah.
than anybody, yeah.
So the one principal said, yes, I would like one inside where people check in to vote. And I said, no, we can't do that. They can't be inside, the voting enclosure because that is considered intimidation. He understood, so we went with another plan, but both principals want one officer out at the road. So they can say, are you here to vote or are you here for school? Oh, if you're here for school, please go this way. So that's gonna be, I think, smart, and it's not gonna be that many folks for this election. For Mountain Park, we're gonna be still in the gym, but they're gonna utilize a different parking lot.
Different. Back entrance.
Yeah.
What about parking?
Still, parking is gonna be fine. He's gonna move the buses and staff parking is there, so he's gonna have them park somewhere totally different for that day.
Well, it sounds like a good approach. You got both principals buying into the
Mhm.
process, so
Yeah.
that,
At Brian, he did ask about us using the church for November. And I said, they do have the option to ask us to not utilize it, and they did, they voted, and the deacon body, that was the vote, so we have to respect that, so. He had mentioned maybe talking to someone at the church to get it back there.
Yeah.
We didn't say anything either way, but very wonderful to deal with. We had a good meeting with both of them, and I think we have that all worked out.
Good.
No complaints from either of them about concerns. And the one at Westfield is going to use his SRO on the other side of the school to head off any people that are lost or shouldn't be there. So it was a good meeting.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, a good experience here
Yeah.
in this light primary might alleviate some of their fears toward what may occur come November.
yeah, good point. Good point.
It's good for him.
And while we were in Westfield, we went on over to Pilot Mountain to the rescue squad where they're doing the renovations. And we did let the gentleman know that the board did vote. We would not be using that as an early voting site. And I think he was relieved because they're really got a lot of construction in it, a lot to go.
Yeah.
And
A lot to do.
That's good.
we will be in a whole different room when we use it, but he sort of explained to us where we can envision that room. I think it's going to be better. There's 2 windows there to let some natural light in. It's very dark before. It was just an interesting funeral home lighting.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We did spend some money to upgrade some new bulbs and stuff, but it's going to be a better room. And he was still very open for us, for us to use it, for the future. So
Okay.
I think we're okay there too. It looks different. They're building a Dollar General right beside. They cleared a bunch of trees and did a retaining wall.
Another Dollar
Grocery
General.
store. Yeah. So I even drove past it because it looks so
Oh,
different.
sure, that would change the
Oh, it has.
landscape, so,
Yeah,
Mm.
there's gonna be more traffic there.
yes, definitely.
This fall for early voting. Well, we're not using early voting.
Not in Pilot, yeah.
Erase all of that. We will use it for our precinct. It will be election day.
No, that's Armfield.
It will go to Armfield.
It's still at Armfield, yeah, which we'll see. For the November election.
It will be nice and 20
Once the rescue squad's finished, I think it would be interesting to take a look at that
to go back
for
to.
election day.
Yeah, I thought that's where we were going, but.
Yeah.
I think once those renovations are complete, we see it, we don't have to envision it, and they're open to it.
It should be finished by
I think
November.
we could get set up and get in and all, more of a schedule for us.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to, kind of like here, once you get set up, you didn't have to do a whole lot of flipping over, your room's set for election day.
Yeah.
And it's one of your bigger precincts,
Mhm.
it's one of your 4 biggest precincts, so it's nice to have that bigger
Finished,
area
yeah.
where the community knows it's where I vote regardless of if it's election day or.
Great parking, great road frontage.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a good facility.
I mean, it already is. but
Oh,
they're
man.
doing a lot of,
Oh,
lot of work. It's nice.
it was amazing what all they've done in here. really nice.
Well, it sounds like our citizens would prefer that
Yeah.
if it were available versus the other location.
Yeah, yeah, and there's just, like any rec center, it's a lot, there's a lot going on 365 days a year.
For all ages.
For all ages.
And so many people are coming in for
Yeah.
something else and.
This last election, they asked us to set up after 5, right, Sydney? And the next election, this second primary, set up after 5 too. So that's,
Well,
that made it interesting.
that's quite,
It's the first time we've been asked that, but see, it's different. The town owns it now.
oh, didn't know that.
Any county grants or funding to support the unit?
Both, yes.
Like
On
on
field
field?
and rescue squad, yes. So we're fine either way.
Right.
But we have been accommodating. We just moved the schedule around to make that work.
Rescue squad sounds great.
Yeah, it's really gonna be a nice facility.
Great.
So I think I think the board did the right thing there with not having it in pilot. He said 90 days to completion, but I'm sure that probably be 90 days, but it's a lot. There's nothing in that building untouched.
That seems like.
They've knocked
That
out
one
walls.
side that was the sanctuary still looked kind of
Yeah.
like a church. but Other than that.
And the church is no longer utilizing it, he said, so.
Okay.
That,
And he was saying that big room, they're trying to make it maybe like a community center, like where people can rent it out. And
That would be
that
nice.
would be, in my mind, a perfect early voting.
Mhm.
oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
So on our Dobson out here at the training center, on the diagram there, no changes or anything there with that?
No, just showing you that's the only one that does have the more radius type, line versus the 2 blocks, but there's just, the parking spaces here are so close to the door.
Yeah.
Unlike
Mhm.
any others we have there. Those 2 handicap spots are just right at the door.
Now, the curbside voting, do we have them driving in both ways toward each other, or is it just one way?
It's one way.
Okay, good.
Well, it's one way when we have the tent up, but we will not have the tent for the second primary.
Okay,
But for the general, we'll have the tent up where this curbside voter is.
Right.
And that's where we have the arrows and we say enter and
Enter,
exit.
right.
And so we have that hanging on the tent so they can see.
Good.
For the second primary, I don't think it'll be an issue, even if
won't be a
people
problem.
park toward each other.
Right.
It's not gonna be that
okay.
big of a deal.
We won't have that many voters.
Right.
That sounds good.
And then you see, we have designated spaces for campaign tents for Dobson and Mount Airy and not for Elkin because it's not an early voting site. That's just designating for the 13, 15, 17 days. So
Okay.
not for an election day site. We don't mark it off. So just wanted to show the board that. And Cindy, do you have anything else? That's all I have for other business. Oh, yeah, you wanna mention that? Sorry.
Tomorrow I'm going to Surrey Central. They had mentioned to us, they were borrowing some vote booths because they are having a real life day. Basically, they're gonna have booths up where the kids can learn about insurance, paying taxes, and they want to do.
They're gonna have an adulting day.
Yes, it sounds like it.
Good.
Amen.
That's great.
So learning about voting, they got the same ballots, stuff like that for everybody. And, then they asked for one of us to come over and just like man food, so I'm gonna go tomorrow and also recruit some student election assistants too.
Yeah.
It's, juniors and seniors, so hopefully get some out of that and educate them a little bit while we're there too.
Yeah.
So I'm going there tomorrow morning.
Excellent. That's great.
That's great.
If I may ask, who initiated that? Okay. That's what I was hoping
Was
to
that
hear.
social studies or was
Yeah, I was gonna
that
say, if she
the
has-
administrative?
Tell me, actually works for our Here it's, UNC Chapel Hill School of Social Work. I guess she's still in school, so she's doing like an intern,
Mhm.
social work intern.
Oh,
That's great.
Yeah,
And it's in the gym?
I think so.
Yeah, at Surrey Central,
I wish we could do it with all the high
every
schools.
school.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
That I
maybe,
know of,
maybe they will
I
copy.
was gonna have to-
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Any outreach to the high schools? I know there is something that we do for the high schools for any of the students to help on election or on primary days. Are we trying to enhance that or to support it stronger, especially for the upcoming November election?
That I think too, along with this new position,
Yeah.
that can be something that we can really try to get in. the
Stay on
schools
top
face to
of more.
face.
Right.
We push out the information at the beginning of the school year during an election year. But we just don't have the time to follow up. We're not persistent with follow-up. We give them all the information and then we let the teacher take it from there.
And then it could get
Yeah,
lost.
yeah, so
Yeah.
follow up, and that's all schools, even the early college, right? We include them as well, and
Yeah.
Millennium.
Good.
I
we
suspect
include-
something like this will help.
Yeah, yeah,
and
I agree.
I think Sydney will have some pictures for website and stuff to say,
Oh,
That's
good.
this is what we participated in, so maybe other schools would say,
Participate.
we should do that.
Anxious to hear the results.
And knowing it's juniors and seniors, that's our target student election officials, that's the ages we can use. Yeah. Hopefully.
Okay. So we may or we may not have ballots for next Tuesday.
Right, we have not, we didn't have any yesterday and none today came in, so these were all from,
So still hold it on your calendar.
yeah, still
Yeah.
hold it and I'll let you know when.
Anything to do with this?
Oh, I'm sorry, thank you, Drew. Yeah, that's just the same thing I emailed you guys, but
Yeah.
that, I thought you might want a hard copy to put in your notebook.
Thank you.
Andrew has done a good job, getting us up to snuff there.
Good.
And I think the county's gonna have a meeting soon about emergency plans for each department, so Sandy has asked that I send her ours. I told her ours is very current. She's asked that I send that out, so maybe they can use that as one to go by.
That's great.
Thank you.
It may be in here, but is there a plan in the event of active shooter?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there was.
There he is.
It's in here.
And I have asked Sandy in our last personnel committee meeting. County
14.
needs, county employees need active shooter training. That's not her. So she said that's in the works.
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Should be.
Yeah, it's pretty much every scenario, Jimmy.
Well, I figured it was.
It's about
Yeah.
covered.
You're 14.
Yeah, I see it. Thank you.
Everybody's emails working
Mm-hmm.
good?
Yes,
Yes.
Good, good. Drew, yours working good?
I think so.
Good.
thank you for that. I think it just makes a lot of good sense.
All the way around.
If I could get this, one thing to quit coming to regular phone, it'd be this. Get more gooder.
I can get these spam texts to quit coming. I'd be unsubscribe.
I don't think we've had ours long enough to start getting spam, but maybe,
Well, that's
maybe,
true,
maybe
yeah.
that'll change.
It'll come up. So that is all I have.
Nothing further on. Director's desk. Thing. Sydney? Anything for the good of the board, from the board?
No, sir.
Wow. Gonna get home in time for dinner.
We've had a good appetizer.
That we
Some
have.
kind of appetizer, cake.
We started it with dessert.
Yeah.
If there's nothing further in business, I would entertain a motion.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we convene our board meeting of April 23rd.
Thank you. We have a second.
What he said.
All those in favor?